Imagine this moment. You blink, and the world around you dissolves. The ground beneath your feet vanishes. The sky above tears like fabric, and in an instant that feels both eternal and instantaneous, you find yourself standing in a place thousands of miles away. No aircraft carried you. No vessel transported you. You simply were elsewhere. This is not fantasy. This is the dominion of Gaap, the 33rd spirit of Solomon's ancient grimoire, whose very name whispers of impossible journeys across the fabric of reality itself. But before you dismiss this as mere legend, consider this. What if the boundaries we accept as absolute, time, space, the limitations of flesh, are nothing more than illusions waiting to be shattered by those who possess the keys to deeper realms? Tonight, we descend into the paradox of a being who once dwelt in celestial light, yet now commands legions from the shadows, offering both wisdom and ignorance with the same ethereal hand. If you're ready to explore the mysteries that challenge everything you think you know about reality, subscribe now, because what you're about to discover will reshape your understanding of the invisible forces that move through our world. When astrologers speak of southern signs, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, they speak of balance, transformation, and seeking. It is precisely during these celestial seasons that Gaap's influence reaches its zenith, when the sun travels through the southern arc of the heavens and the veil between dimensions grows gossamer thin. Ancient texts describe his manifestation as both terrifying and magnificent, a figure appearing in human form, yet bearing the unmistakable mark of otherworldly authority. Some chronicles speak of him arriving surrounded by 4 great kings of cardinal directions, his presence announced not by thunder or earthquake, but by a peculiar stillness that settles over the natural world, as if creation itself pauses to acknowledge his authority. But why the southern signs? These are the months when daylight wanes in the northern hemisphere, when humanity naturally turns inward, seeking wisdom in darkness. It is during this time that Gaap exercises his most profound abilities, the power to make men insensible or ignorant, not through violence or coercion, but through a supernatural influence that can either cloud the mind or, paradoxically, illuminate it beyond ordinary comprehension. The timing is no coincidence. In the mythology of the Ars Goetia, Gaap appears when humanity is most vulnerable to transformation, when the dying light of the southern sun creates the perfect conditions for journeys, both physical and spiritual, that would be impossible under the harsh clarity of summer's zenith. Here lies the greatest mystery. Gaap was not always a prince of the underworld. The grimoires speak of him as one of the fallen, an angel who once walked in the pure light of creation, who possessed knowledge of the divine mechanics that govern space and time. But something changed. Something drove him from the celestial heights to the depths where he now commands 66 legions of spirits. What could transform a being of light into a master of transportation between realms? The ancient texts remain silent on the specifics, but they hint at a crucial element. Gaap's fall was not merely about rebellion, but about the acquisition of forbidden knowledge. He learned the secrets of instant travel, of moving matter across vast distances without the constraints of physical law. This knowledge, this power to transcend the very foundations of created order, may have been the key that locked him out of paradise forever. Yet in losing his place among the heavenly host, Gaap gained something else: the ability to grant his knowledge to those brave or foolish enough to seek him out. The price of his transformation became his offering to humanity, the power to move beyond ordinary limitations, to experience the impossible, to touch, however briefly, the mechanisms that govern reality itself. This is the profound tragedy and gift of the fallen. In their descent, they carry with them fragments of divine understanding, corrupted perhaps, but still containing echoes of the original creation. Consider this paradox. a being who can simultaneously make you ignorant and wise. This is perhaps Gaap's most unsettling ability, the power to strip away knowledge or bestow it according to his will. But why would anyone seek ignorance? Why would forgetting be considered a gift? The answer lies in understanding the weight of knowledge itself. There are truths that once known cannot be unknown. There are revelations that shatter the comfortable illusions upon which ordinary life depends. Sometimes, the greatest mercy is not to remember everything you have seen or understood. Gaap offers both paths. To the seeker who approaches with genuine desire for wisdom, he can illuminate the liberal sciences and philosophy, revealing connections and insights that transform understanding. But to those whose minds are already overburdened with painful knowledge, or to enemies whose cunning has become dangerous, he offers the blessing of forgetting, the gentle erasure of thoughts that have become too heavy to bear. This dual nature reflects something profound about the nature of consciousness itself. Knowledge and ignorance are not opposites, but complementary states. Sometimes wisdom lies not in knowing more, but in knowing what not to know, what not to remember, what not to carry forward from one moment to the next. In the mythology of Gaap, we find an entity who understands that the human mind is not infinitely elastic, that there are limits to what consciousness can contain while still remaining functional, still remaining sane. 66 legions. In the terminology of ancient demonology, this represents thousands upon thousands of spirits who have bound themselves to Gaap's service. But who are these entities, and why do they follow one whose primary power is to erase and transport? The grimoires describe them as spirits of movement and transition, entities that exist in the spaces between places, in the moments between moments. They are the forces that make possible the instantaneous transportation that is Gaap's signature ability. Each spirit specializes in different aspects of this cosmic transit. Some handle the dissolution of matter at the point of departure, others manage the reconstruction at the destination. Still others navigate the void between worlds where normal physics cease to apply. But there is something haunting about their designation as legions of the silent. These are not spirits that communicate through words or traditional means. Their service to Gaap has transformed them into something beyond ordinary consciousness, entities that exist primarily as function rather than individual identity. This silence may be both their sacrifice and their protection. In serving a master who can erase knowledge and memory, they have perhaps surrendered their own capacity for independent thought in exchange for participation in one of the universe's most profound mysteries, the ability to move beyond the normal constraints of space and time. Their silence also suggests something else, that the deepest workings of reality operate beyond language, beyond the reach of human comprehension or description. Here we encounter the most unexpected aspect of Gaap's nature. Despite his fall from grace, despite his dominion over ignorance and supernatural transportation, he remains a teacher of philosophy and the liberal arts. This is not mere intellectual exercise. This is wisdom born from the unique perspective of one who has existed in both celestial and infernal realms. What kind of philosophy emerges from such experience? Gaap's teachings, according to those who claim contact with him, focus on the illusory nature of physical limitations, the interconnectedness of all locations in space and time, and the possibility of consciousness existing independent of physical form. These are not abstract concepts, but lived realities for a being who can transport matter instantaneously across any distance. His instruction in the liberal arts takes on special significance when we remember that these traditionally include grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and music, subjects that deal with the fundamental patterns underlying reality. For Gaap, these are not academic subjects, but practical tools for understanding and manipulating the basic structure of existence. The irony is unmistakable. A fallen angel teaching divine principles, a master of ignorance serving as a fountain of wisdom. a creature of darkness illuminating truth. This contradiction suggests that the boundaries between good and evil, wisdom and ignorance, light and darkness may be far more fluid than conventional thinking allows. Perhaps this is Gaap's greatest lesson, that wisdom often comes from unexpected sources, and that transformation, whether geographical or spiritual, requires a willingness to abandon fixed positions and embrace paradox. And so we return to where we began, that moment of impossible transition, when reality bends and space collapses, when a single step can carry you from one continent to another. But now we must ask a deeper question. What would it mean to possess such power? What would it do to your understanding of distance, of separation, of the barriers that seem to divide one thing from another? Gaap exists as a living reminder that the world we inhabit daily, with its fixed coordinates and immutable physical laws, may be nothing more than one layer of a far more complex reality. His ability to transport matter instantaneously suggests that distance itself might be an illusion, that the universe might be far more interconnected and malleable than our senses reveal. But the final mystery remains. In a cosmos where instant travel is possible, where knowledge and ignorance can be manipulated at will, where the boundaries between realms can be crossed in a moment, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be bound to a single location, a single perspective, a single point of consciousness in space and time? Perhaps this is why Gaap appears during the southern signs, when daylight fades and we naturally turn inward, to remind us that our limitations may be choices rather than absolute truths, and that the journey beyond ordinary reality begins not with movement through space, but with the willingness to question what we believe to be impossible. The answer to these questions remains suspended in the space between worlds, where Gaap and his silent legions continue their eternal work of transportation and transformation, carrying secrets we may never fully comprehend across distances we can barely imagine. What mythological beings would you like us to explore next? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to continue your journey into the hidden corners of ancient wisdom. Which mysteries call to your soul?